No, not on the phone. Hey, for cruise? Just home base. No, not a cruise. Meeting to order. Madam Clerk, if you could call the roll, please.
Mr. Green?
Here.
Mr. Lyons?
Here.
Admiral Natter?
Here.
Mr. Reeves?
Here.
Mr. Skelton?
Here.
Mr. Smith?
Here.
Mr. Wright?
All right, if we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the orientation first. There we go.
Let us pray. Lord, thank you for this great day. Thank you for this holy week as we reflect on your great passion and resurrection. As we try to grasp how much you love us. As we strive to love as you do. You have given us everything, and you have taught us all we need to know. Help us to follow you. Bestow your wisdom and guidance on all of us here tonight, especially this mayor and council in their service to the city. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, under the report section, we've got Mr. Everett Weiss. He's a candidate for Jefferson County Circuit Judge, place 26. Feel free to come up for a couple of minutes, sir.
Thank you so much to the mayor, council, and the citizens of Hoover. My name is Everett West, and I'm running for Circuit Judge, Jefferson County, Birmingham Division, place 26. There is a primary election runoff on April 12th, and I wanted to come back and ask everybody to go out and vote for me on that day. Let me tell you a handful of things about myself, and you can find more on the website, and I did pass out some cards prior to the meeting. I've worked going on 16 years primarily in the area of criminal defense. I've also worked for 5 years for the city of Midfield as a part-time prosecutor, so I've worked both sides of the court. And I think that's important because we need fairness in our courtroom. I've also sat as municipal court judge, substitute municipal court judge, substitute district court, and circuit court judge in Jefferson County. So I've actually done the job. And I'm just looking for an opportunity to do this on a full-time basis. I have worked in all kinds of courts throughout the state of Alabama, municipal court, state court, federal court, at the appellate levels in state court and in federal court. Have been very successful, have handled a number of high-profile cases. The so-called beating of the unconscious man, I represented the police officers where they were acquitted in federal court. The Auburn basketball player accused of point shaving, even the tree poisoner down in Auburn. I've been the attorney on those cases. I worked 17 years in the computer area in Huntsville, Alabama, with an undergraduate in computer science and mathematics, so you sort of have a rocket scientist as a judge if you all would vote for me. You know, I worked in the community through various organizations at the Jimmy Hill Mission, through Village Creek Society, cleaning up our neighborhoods, that type of thing, and I think that's important for circuit, for some of our servants to work in those capacities as well. And I like to tell everyone, so that you remember my name, I think one of the councilors called me Weiss. I just ask that you go out to the polls on April the 12th in the primary runoff and vote for Everett West, the best Democratic candidate for place 26. Everett West. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. West.
Mr. West, is this a, I take it this is a criminal
This is a criminal trial position. Judge Tommy Neal is retiring at the end of his term and is not seeking re-election, so this is a seat that's opening up and an opportunity to fill that vacancy, and he has some large shoes to fill, and I think with my experiences and qualifications that it's going to be tough, but I think I do a good job at trying to follow Judge Tommy Neal, one of our wonderful judges who is retiring at the end of his term. Any other questions?
Thank you very much.
If not, thank you. Good to see you, Mr. Barr, Mr. Walter.
As well, Judge.
Y'all take care.
Thank you. Resolution number 5382-16, Mr. Walker.
This resolution amends the budget for the fiscal year ending September the 30th, 2016.
Okay, I have a motion. Second. Do we have a motion?
No, I usually take everybody, I wasn't here for the work session, so I don't think it would be appropriate for me to make a motion.
Move that the budget amendment be approved.
Now, is this a budget amendment or is this amendment?
No, I'm gonna go back to the minutes.
Oh,
This
I'm
is the
sorry.
budget amendment.
Okay, I got it turned around too.
Okay, we can do that.
The one that I just read amends the budget. This is adding additional police officers to public safety. Has some paving projects. There's 3 traffic signals are included. Library position, tile was included.
Has there been a second?
Second. Any questions from the council?
Yes, sir, Mr. President. I've got a few, and I'm sorry because I wasn't here Thursday to be able to talk about them then. Number one on the list, the paving projects, $3,070,000. Robert, is that coming out of the gas tax fund?
Yes, sir, all of that's coming out of gas tax.
Okay, that money was not budgeted previously?
No, sir, it was not included in the original budget that we passed in November.
Are there any other gas tax monies that haven't been tied to a project yet? Like, we're moving the $3 million plus out of the gas tax fund.
We're spending it in the gas tax fund.
Okay. Because we're amending the budget, it wasn't already
It was
included.
never in there in the first place, so we're
Okay.
putting it in as an expenditure for the first
Are
time.
there any other gas tax monies that are waiting for a project?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, thank you. I guess the big question I've got, and I don't know, I guess Chief Durzis may need to explain this. I know when we had to leave the Crown Vics because of the lawsuit from the previous administration, went to the Tahoes, and that was a great thing. But I'm trying to remember, I thought that individuals did not get a take-home car until their first year was up. Has that changed? Up until then, I thought that they drove a fleet car for their first year.
We give them a car, somebody that they don't take it home, but everybody gets a car.
Okay.
And the reason being, we've reduced our maintenance costs significantly over the years that we started the take-home program. So everybody has a car, so those cars are not being driven like in the old days when I first started. Everything was driven 24 hours a day. They've got a car, that stays at City Hall, they drive it during their shift, and then they park it afterwards.
And after their probationary period?
Then they can take it home if they live in
Makes
the
a lot of
country.
sense. Thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions from the council?
Mr. President, Chief Durzis.
Yes, sir.
Does these funds include body cameras?
Yes, sir.
Have you had any results one way or the other? Using
Yeah,
body cameras?
yes, sir. I would say it's been a fantastic tool for us, management-wise. I'll use one example that just occurred a couple of weeks ago. We had an individual call and make a complaint the way his wife was treated on a traffic stop. And after we looked at the body camera, everything that the individual complained about, we had done. And we were able to call him back, discuss it, and without the body cameras, it would have been, he said, she said type of deal. So there's been numerous times that we've been able to look at the cameras and find out exactly what occurred. And again, great management tool, and I'm just can't be more elated so far with the type of response that we've gotten with it.
That's good news. Probably kept us out of some litigation also.
Yes.
Thank you, Chief.
Any other questions from the council?
Mr. President, one other, not really on topic, but do you foresee the camera, the body cams taking the place of vehicle cameras, or do vehicle cameras still have a place within the law enforcement industry?
But they've still got a place. Obviously, the vehicle camera's in the vehicle, so when you move away from it, you don't see it, and that's what the body camera certainly could be utilized. And again, we're in next year's budget going to make sure that any of our personnel that don't have it will have. We've outfitted almost everybody now.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the council? From the audience? Have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Let's go back to the approval of the minutes. Can I have a motion on the approval of the minutes?
Yes, Mr. President, move for approval of the minutes, regular meeting 3/7/16 and the work session 3/17/16 as presented and dispense with the reading.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Minutes are approved. Resolution number 5383-16, Mr. Wall.
This is a resolution for the purchase of the Hoover Sportsplex pre-engineered metal building. The bids have not been opened at this point, and I understand that we're most
Continue till the first meeting in April.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions from the council?
Is this continuing to the first meeting in April? Is that enough time, Robert, Mr. Yeager, Mr. Bates?
I believe we set bid opening date for Wednesday, a week from Wednesday, then we prior to the next work session.
That's correct. Wednesday, March the 30th, just prior to the next work session.
Does that give you enough time to go through the bid, make sure it meets the specs?
Yes.
Any questions from the audience? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Resolution number 5383 is continued to the first meeting in April. Resolution number 5384-16, Mr. Wall.
This resolution rejects the bid of Southland Machinery LLC, excuse me, relating to bid number 03-16 for a dual power mini excavator. Bid notices were mailed to 101 vendors as listed on the City of Hoover vendor list. An invitation to bid was also posted on the City of Hoover website. Southland Machinery's bid of $38,792 was the only bid received. This resolution authorizes the mayor to negotiate the price for the purchase of the dual power mini excavator not to exceed the quoted bid amount.
Can I have a motion?
Mr. President, go ahead.
That's fine. Go ahead. Is that a
Mr.
motion?
President, I move the resolution number 5384-16 be approved.
Got a motion, need a second.
Second.
Any other questions from the council?
Mr. President,
Yes.
where are we gonna do some mini excavating, Tom?
We can use that, that'll be mainly used for inside a building. An example, we had to do one at the police op center the other day, their plumbing was messed up, we had to go in there, dig it out, replace all their plumbing. And this thing works off hydraulics, you got a part that stays outside, so you don't have to run any kind of fumes inside the building.
So your staff can do this rather than?
Yes, sir, it'll be mainly used probably like a plumber, maybe electrician, but mostly plumber.
Very good, thank you.
Any questions from the audience? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Resolution passes. Resolution number 5385-16, Mr. Walker.
This resolution appoints the underwriters and financial advisor for the financing of the bond issue necessary for the sports complex.
I believe we have a motion to continue. We could have a motion on the floor.
Move that resolution number 5385-16 be continued to the first meeting in April.
Second.
Okay. Any other questions from the council? Any from the audience? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion to continue is passed. We got change order number 3 for fire station number 10 project. We spoke about most of these on Thursday afternoon, but go ahead. Yes.
This change order for fire station number 10 allows for a credit with utility aid and construction allowance, plus material testing allowance, providing a total credit of $1,045.23.
Yeah.
Mr. President, for credits are good, and I would move for the approval of change order number 3 for fire station 10.
Second.
Any other questions? Any from the audience? All those in favor?
Real quick, Chief Wingate, how much have we saved on these deductions so far? Enough to pay for the furnishing room?
I'd like to say yes, but I don't know. I think Robert might have a better idea where we stand.
We'll find out later.
Okay.
Thank you.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, change order is passed. We have a second reading of ordinance number 16-2298. Mr. Walker.
This ordinance would amend a portion of Chapter 10, Section 10-2 entitled Jurisdiction of the Municipal Code of the City of Hoover, modifies Chapter 10, Section 10-3 entitled Where and When Held, and amends a portion of Chapter 10, Section 10-7 entitled Magistrates. It amends Chapter 10, Section 10-18 entitled Schedule of Fines, deletes Chapter 10, Section 1030 entitled Fines, amends a portion of Chapter 11, Article 2, Section 11-31 entitled Misdemeanors, deletes Chapter 9, Article 1, Section 9-2 entitled Adoption of State Misdemeanors, modifies Chapter 9, Article 1, Section 9-3 entitled Conflict with State Law, and deletes Chapter 11, Article 2, Section 11-32 entitled Violation of the Federal Motor Carrier and Safety Regulations. This is basically a revision of the municipal code as it relates to municipal court and citations that are issued in a way that we'll handle that going forward. And we discussed it with Admiral Natter, who's the liaison, who's worked with the city attorney, and we've had the judge involved, we've had Ms. Pequay as the court director.
Mr. President, I move that ordinance number 16-2298 be adopted.
We have a second.
Second.
Okay. Any other questions from the council?
Mr. President, Admiral, since you did work on this so well, what exactly, is this just bringing municipal law into compliance with state law? Or,
You know, I'm glad you asked that question, because I asked Mr. Watley to prepare a 2-minute overview of what this entails. I'm gonna give him the opportunity to tell you.
well, you gave me $20, so.
Admiral, Council. But Mr. Waters did summarize it, but Mr. Waters is gonna put it in layman's language.
One other question I had with talking about fines and stuff, does it adjust where those dollars go?
Does not.
Okay, so that stays.
Those
as
are
it-
allocated according to the budget.
Okay, thank you.
So, as we were reviewing the code in conjunction with the city and the court, we determined that there were several sections that needed to be updated. The last update looks like it was in 1995, so state law has changed a little bit. There have also been some just streamlining issues that the court wanted to go through. A couple of examples, there are some additional powers that were added to the Alabama code for magistrates. This version has been brought up with what the Alabama code says. We also removed the fine schedule. Fine schedules are promulgated by the Alabama Supreme Court. The way it had been laid out, all the fines were set out in the code. We kind of looked at it, we decided that, every time they change this $20 fine to a $25 fine, otherwise the city's gonna have to go back and amend the code. So we basically set it out so that anytime it's amended by the Supreme Court, the amended version will apply. Basically, most of the changes, or all of the changes, are non-substantive. They're just either small changes to realign the code or to simplify and streamline things for the court.
And it clarifies certain sections, which basically makes it better for the city when individuals would want to appeal certain cases based on ordinances, confusion, so to speak.
I know a number years ago, we had worked with the state legislature that allowed for someone to be able to buy back a warrant. Is that still in
Still
effect?
there, we still have that, that was the local legislation that,
And the mileage fees for going and picking up prisoners?
we have that.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Adam.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions from the council? Any from the audience? So roll call vote, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Green? Mr. Lyda? Admiral Matter?
Aye.
Mr. Reeves?
Aye.
Mr. Skelton?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Ordinance is adopted. First reading ordinance number 162299. Mr. Walton.
This ordinance provides for the levying of municipal taxes for the city, allows for the assessment of the taxes for the tax year beginning October 1, 2016. There would be levied on all property owned personal and franchises within the limits of the city, subject to taxation under the laws of the state. The general municipal tax at $3.05 on each $100 of the value of the property. This includes a tax at the rate of 65 cents on each $100 of the value of such property, 6.5 mils on each dollar of assessed value, and a special tax at the rate of $2.40 on each $100 of the value of such property. It's 24 mils on each dollar of assessed value. The proceeds from which shall be used for the public school purposes in the city, pursuant to authorization granted at elections held in the city on May 8th, 1990, May 12th, 1998, and on April 27th, 2010. So these are not new taxes, these are repeal of existing.
Right. Okay, thank you. Mr. Walton, first reading ordinance number 16-2300.
This ordinance would grant a non-exclusive telecommunications franchise to Level 3 Communications LLC for a period of 5 years, unless lawfully revoked or terminated as provided in the franchise agreement between the city and Level 3 Communications.
Okay. Now, the public hearing to consider the request of Douglas Holtneck for conditional use approval to allow the sale of restaurant retail liquor at Revolve Kitchen and Brew located at 611 Doug Baker Boulevard, Suite 103, in the Lee Branch Shopping Center, Phase 2. We have a motion.
Mr. President, I move for approval of the application.
Have a second. Second. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Can we ask a question?
Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Mr. Green?
Yes, I noticed on this ABC application, the president of the company has a criminal history involving drugs. Chief, or Mr. Castellano, you want to comment on that?
I know the ABC board has some strict regulations, but it appears we have a distribution of drug conviction from the 90s. Chief, what's the rules on that?
I would rather we maybe postpone that tonight so we can discuss it.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, if I could amend my motion, I move to continue the conditional use until the first meeting of next month.
Sir. We have a motion and a second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, motion's approved. So I assume the motion to approve the ABC application is going to be contingent as well. Mr. Lyon?
Mr. President, I move to continue the approval of ABC application.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Public hearing to consider the request of Ron Yang for conditional use approval to allow the sale of owner off-premises retail beer and owner off-premises retail table wine at Sushi Village 280, located at 601 Doug Baker Boulevard, Suite 101 and 102 in the Lee Branch Shopping Center, Phase 2.
Mr. President, I move for approval of the conditional use.
Any questions from the council? Any from the audience? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Motion to approve the ABC application. Mr. Lyon.
Mr. President, I move for approval of the application.
Second. Any questions from the council? Any from the audience? Motion approved. Or did we?
We can take a vote.
Yeah, we didn't take a vote on that one. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. All right, we're going to set a public hearing for Monday, April 18th, 2016 at 6 p.m. to consider the following request, which comes forward with a positive recommendation from the 3/14/16 Planning and Zoning Committee Commission meeting. Ed and Barbara Randall are requesting conditional use approval for their property located at 2255 Tyler Road, also known as the Hoover House, to be used as a wedding venue, a place for corporate meetings, and other similar social functions. Mr. and Mrs. Randall are the property owners, and the property is zoned R1, single family residential. PZ case number C-0216-02. Mr. Smith, payment of bills, please.
Yes, sir, I was able to review the bills and recommend they be paid in full.
Second.
All those in favor of payment of bills, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Pay the bills, please. Any comments or questions from the council?
Mr. President, I noted that, Mr. Don Riley, this is gonna be his last council meeting, as I understand.
What?
He's retiring, and, we wish him well. Thank you very much for your service to our city, and we wish you fair winds and following seas.
Thank you, Admiral. Any comments or questions from the audience? Name and address, please.
I'm Dan Fulton, and I'm still at 1440 Austin Avenue in Bluff Park, and proud to still be there. I'm just got a question about the amendment of the budget. The additional patrol officers were added to that, is that right? How many did they add? 10? 10, okay. Of course, the chief had hoped for maybe 20, maybe that might be considered at a later time. Chief,
And he'd take 50.
well, 50 would work to authority, but anyway, he did say 10, and that will help. And I gather they have to do some patrolling out on the freeway too, don't they, Chief?
Yes, sir.
And of course, the state troopers are understaffed, and as is the sheriff's department. So they're not, their finances are not as fortunate as those of us in Hoover. So, you know, if we can come up with another 10, I think that would be a big help.
I was gonna ask him if 10 was enough, but I was afraid to.
Once again, I'm coming back on the tax holiday. This year it will be August the 5th, 6th, 7th in the state. And I'm asking Hoover to be the very first city, of course we're the 6th largest city in the state, to set up a full week tax holiday for school supplies, or that list is limited. Like if you get an Apple computer for $1,000, it's only tax exempt for the first $750, so you have to pay the tax on the rest of it. And of course, in Jefferson County, they don't participate. So my suggestion is that we start August 1st. That'd be 4 days free of city taxes. And then the other 3 days, in the 5th, 6th, 7th, they'd be free of city taxes as well as the state taxes. Of course, in Shelby County, they do participate. And this would be an incentive to attract people to come shop in Hoover. A lot of things won't be covered, and people will be shopping. You'll be kind of like a leader, draw them into the city, and they'll purchase other things that are certainly not tax exempt. Now, with the school rezoning, I had to say this, Mayor, with the school rezoning, the school buses, the service is excellent. And for those who are within 2 miles, who might not qualify for a bus now, the superintendent and the board, they're going to seek waivers from the state so that those young people could still ride the bus. You have to be, you have to be over 2 miles, 2 miles or over to ride the bus. If you're under 2 miles, you can't normally ride the school bus from the state, because remember, the state pays for most of the bus expense. But you can get waivers, and when we have busy streets and young children and traffic congestion, it might be that they might want to consider riding the bus. However, there are going to be parents, especially those with young children, who want to take their children to school. And the new vehicles, and you know this, Mayor, are much safer than those that, let's say, 6 to 10 years old. And this would be an opportune time when they come in back to school to stop by some of the showrooms and look at the new vehicles with all the extras, the automatic braking, the backup cameras, and all the extras. And it might be time for them to consider getting that new vehicle to help transport their children safely to school. So anyway, I'm just suggesting that consider a full week tax holiday. Finally, I just wanted to say something about the Old Berry High School. It's my understanding that the city of Vestavia is offering $11 million to buy the property, and that we have to de-annex the property for them to have a junior high school on that location. I did mention to Dr. Lopez that maybe she needs to call Vestavia and help them find another location. But I'm sure, like the Alabama property. But that being said, this is a very valuable property. It has can be used in many, many ways. It can be used for assisted living facilities, senior living, senior housing. It can be used for townhomes. It can be used for a luxury hotel with a new sportsplex. We may need a new luxury hotel in the area. It is centrally located. 10 years down the way, if we needed another city hall, we decided we wanted to have a concert hall and a city hall and a central location. That's ideal, and there's enough property for that. So I'm just saying that before we de-annex any property out of Hoover, that we do our due diligence and think carefully. The offer is forthcoming, I gather. And of course, the Board of Education is certainly free to sell the property, but for that to become a school, you have to de-annex it from the city of Hoover. So I would just ask you to be careful and cautious and exercise due diligence before agreeing to that. Thank you.
Thank you. You have a comment from the audience? Yes, sir. If you would give us your name and address, please.
My name is Greg Bishop. I live at 1658 Lake Cyrus Club Drive in Hoover. I've got a handout for you guys. I currently work with a Hoover-based nonprofit that's mission is to align the children that are food insecure in Hoover, in our schools, with sponsors that will help them to get food to eat on the weekend. It's called the Weekend Backpack Program. And many of our churches in the community have already stepped up and are already sponsoring some of the elementary schools. In fact, all the elementary schools in Hoover have a program to provide food for children that need the help. We're currently trying to expand the program to include all the middle schools and the high schools, and we're seeking sponsors for those schools. So I wanted to bring you guys up to speed on what's going on with our initiative and what we're hoping to accomplish. We hope to have all the schools in the city of Hoover covered by a program by the beginning of the school year next year. It's a little bit more of a challenge. In the elementary level, the teachers simply place a bag of food in the child's backpack, and they take it home and they have food to eat on the weekends. It's a little bit more of a challenge in the high schools because you really can't take food into the high schools like that. There's some stigmatism associated with it, and you really don't want children singled out, and you want to be more discreet as they get older. So I've got a handout for you guys. It identifies on one page what we've accomplished so far in the form of support through the faith-based organizations in Hoover. It's really been inspiring to see how the community's rallied around this initiative and stepped forward to help the children that may be overlooked currently.
Great. Thank you. Is this the handout you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Mr. Bishop? Okay. Thank you very much. Yes, sir. Come on up. Thank you, Mr. Bishop.
David Barber, 8420 Will Keith Road. Yes, that's 2 words, it's a man's name, that's the kind of road that we have in Oregon. Actually, I'm in Trussell at the moment. I came here to thank the council and the mayor for your support this year for Prescott House. In one of my letters to you, I said that we were seeking additional support from municipalities in Jefferson County after being there to serve children in very stressful situations. Without going into any detail, y'all are aware of what we do. And I mentioned that we needed help keeping the doors open. I was not trying to be prophetic, but as it turned out, and this will scare all of you, most of our funding comes through ADECA, through the state of Alabama. So after the fiscal year started in October, we finally heard at the end of October what money we might expect. And then in March, we finally got around to getting some of that money. So y'all literally, you and the other municipalities that stepped up, literally kept the doors open at Prescott House. So thank you.
Mr. Barber, always great to see you. Looks like retirement has treated you mighty well. So,
Wait, Brian, you have to remember when I started that job downtown, I was 6'4".
Thank you, sir. Any other comments from the audience?
Mr. President, and someone may not know, but Mr. Barber was a former district attorney. And he had a full head of hair at that time, and it was all black. David, it's great to have you here.
Always. Yes, sir. Singer, come on up.
Arnold Singer, 613 Riverhaven Place. Early this century, that's the 21st century, Hoover purchased property that many refer to as a white elephant, which in retrospect has turned out to be one of the best purchases and uses that could possibly be made to a significant property. And I'm talking about the Public Safety Center at 2020 Valleydale Road. Now, the reason I bring this up is the building was repurposed and repurposed beautifully. And it's on the edge of the city boundaries. Similarly, Old Berry is on the border of Hoover, in the other direction. And if the Board of Education does not take the time to thoroughly think of constructive uses for the Old Berry School, and should by some slight chance decide to sell that property, I would urge the council to exercise its rightful power and reject annexation. I think we learned a lot from this bid that Vestavia has put forward. $11 million, with the statements that they feel that the building is structurally sound, but it needs a lot of work on the interior. Several years ago, there was a Board of Education retreat at the Old Berry School. I was the only member of the public who went to that retreat, and we had a thorough tour of the building. And we saw those parts of the building that were falling apart and those parts of the building that were in very good shape. And I think the idea that Vestavia has, that they could turn this into one heck of a facility at a cost of $21 to $22 million gives us some ideas of what could be done. Now, we don't need the Board of Education to need the property immediately, but if they come up with their plans as to what to do, let's say over a 6-year period of time, put $4 million a year into converting that building into the kind of building that will be a major cost savings in providing education to our school children. So keep this in your hip pocket, be aware of what's happening there, But remember, you do have the final say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Singer. Mr. Singer, I just want to make sure that you were aware that the city did make an offer last year, that the offer, I think, was on the table 6 months.
Right, and it was for $9 million, yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So we have made a conscious effort.
No, but the thing is, we have been hearing increasing talk and quite realistically from the superintendent that there will be a need for an additional school building coming up in the next few years. What better situation than to have 35 acres with a stadium, with a structurally sound building that can be used, which is going to be a lot less money than it would cost to acquire land or whatever. So I think from an economics point of view, it certainly makes sense. Thank you.
I've also heard that Pelham is trying to sell the River Chase School as well. And that itself may be another option for our school system. I'm not sure what the price is, but I think it's reasonable from what I've heard.
Thank you, Mr. Singer.
Okay.
Any other comments from the audience? Meeting's adjourned. Thank you all for coming and be careful.
Who's